Hi guys, it's Louis, the Autistic exec, and I have an interesting little topic today, and one that particularly has a direct application to autistics and also young people. It has to do with diplomacy, challenging others in public, and those sorts of things. There are particular rules and expectations that we may not know when we're younger or we're autistic. We may not have picked up on them early on, and it is specifically challenging others in public. I want to have to start out and say that it has everything to do with deference and understanding the other person's perspective as a leader or a manager, is that they very often have worked very hard to get where they are, and they've kind of earned a certain amount of respect, either through age or through seniority or something like that. Especially if you're in a labor environment or you're an elderly person, there's an expectation, intergenerational from millennials and which are Gen X and baby boomers, to have a certain level of respect. Believe me, when you get to that age, you're going to expect it too. So, and I personally believe that it is earned. Yeah. So one thing to start out with, I know a lot of autistics in particular take pride in the truth and trying to always look for that, and being a natural skeptic. Skeptics are good. They have a value, especially when it comes to information. But what I often find is that, skeptics will throw something out there and expect other people to do the work, but often the person that they're directing their attention toward. And the fact is, it's the skeptic's job to do the research. If you're a skeptic and you don't believe somebody or something, the information very often is out there. Don't ask the person for that information. You've got to go and search it yourself, either by doing their calculations. If somebody says that they're licensed in one area that they are not licensed in an area that the other person says they are, go and do the research. Go online, go to the department or ministry or whatever to look for that particular bit of information. Do not expect the person that claims something to provide you with that. Very often the organization has already done a backup job, and the public has as well. And if they're a very public figure that's had a lot of interviews and that sort of thing, I assure you that work has already been done. So make sure you do that, and do that in private first. The thing was that there is a language that's relative to a position, and that is that if you're a manager or you're older, make sure and maintain respect. The first thing before confronting somebody that you may question is ask your peers and maybe even their peers for about the information and clarification before you confront them. If you then decide to do that immediately, now, which isn't ever a good idea, when somebody claims something and immediately jumping in and saying, you're wrong, in front of everybody. Ooh, that's a quick way. That's a quick way to get isolated. And that's permanent isolation, actually, in that particular group. Because managers and leaders are there because of the confidence of the people that are under them. If they're not confident in their ability to lead, they will go away eventually. Maybe not right away, but they will go away and not be the leader anymore. That's just how leadership works. So you often have the people that are under them that will, under that leader that maybe you're challenging, that will support them for that very reason, that, hey, look, this is our boss, this is our leader, and for a lot of different reasons. So make sure and ask the peers. Ask for clarification. If somebody says the number is a certain way and you know that it's not that way, say, do you mean from this perspective, maybe this is where this number comes from? I know it seems like a lot of extra work, but it's very important socially to put it in the right perspective. And it also grounds you, makes you more reliable, more relatable, and make sure that you don't get any personal damage, because people lose jobs over things like that. And rightly so if you're messing with a hierarchy and all that sort of thing. Three, offer a way for misinformation or error to be corrected by the person. So rather than saying, for example, all that information on that website is wrong. Say, well, it's interesting. Maybe there's an update to that information that may be useful, and then provide that link that may be more. And in the end, you might go do the research and then find out, ooh, maybe they are right. Maybe I am not as informed as they are. So it's a possibility, and you got to keep yourself open to it. Be aware that a challenge is a duel. Okay, if you're confronting a leader or somebody who's well respected, they're fighters. Managers and leaders are fighters. That's how they got there. They had to fight through a whole lot of stuff to get there. And as a result, a challenge is a duel, and they're warriors, and they're going to immediately jump into that warrior mode. And so it's throwing down a gauntlet, and it can be seen as trying to unseat a manager, even if that's not your intent. That's the way it can be seen. So challenging a leader almost always isolates the challenge. Is something very important to note, and unless special care is taken. So make sure and do that. When you're speaking to them, use open-ended statements. Don't say, you're wrong, that's wrong, that information, you're stupid. Just those words right there are they're like explosions in a person's mind. Be very, very cautious when saying that. Rather than saying, you're wrong, you could say, are we sure about that? We. Use the we word, don't you, because when you do the you, it's directed against that person. When you do we, you're including them and saying, oh, we're all on the same page. We're all trying to get to the same point. We're all part of the same team. Building bridges versus burning them. When you decide to confront someone and go all in and are not careful about the tone, about the words, you're burning bridges. And that impacts your future employment. It impacts any future relation at all, not just with them, but anybody in their circle. And very often managers and leaders are well connected. Be ready to let go. If something isn't right, information is wrong, maybe there's a bigger picture thing going on here that you may not be aware of. Sometimes you just gotta say, I tried. And so that's picking your battles, and that's saying, let it go. And really, don't obsess over it. We all have bigger things to worry about. And I know that this is particularly hard with OCD, with autistics. I've got it too, believe me. I'm all about, the truth and getting down to it. And I find it offensive as well when somebody messes around. But ultimately you got to think, is this going to affect my ability, my housing, my ability to eat, my ability to grow in the organization? And if not, it probably isn't worth the fight, and it could be somebody else's challenge. Also, in the end, beware of if what you said comes true and then it ends up coming back around. Don't say "I told you so." Beware of "I told you so," and be sensitive to it. So, in the end, thank you so much for sticking around. It's been a really long one this time, but it's been a long time coming, and one that is incredibly useful no matter where you are in your business career. I did have a question though from somebody, a subscriber, who asked on the last video, what is this? This is my gavel that came. I was a judge at one time in Harris County's 139. This right here is my stress ball. So I do keep it at my desk. Also this thing, that's a scalp massager. So I just run it on my scalp. So yes, I do have these toys, and I think that, which shouldn't be there, is a bottle of Axe spray. So if I've been out sweating. So yeah, overall I don't use perfumes, but there it is. So thank you so much, everyone, and sorry for the long-windedness. Make sure and like me on Twitter and Facebook, and I'm trying to think where else it is, but you can do @Autistic Exec, together, Autistic Exec, and you can find me anywhere. And please subscribe below. Thank you.